Oh my god.
No way.
I just got owned. Vanilla Minecraft is not an easy game. If you're a longtime player, you're probably used to its mechanics. But to a casual, attack speed can be unintuitive, baby zombies too hard to hit, and creepers all too unforgiving. The worst part, in my opinion, is how the game handles a player's death. By default, when you die in survival mode, you drop all your items, lose your experience levels, and teleport back to your spawn point, which may be hundreds or thousands of blocks away. If you want your stuff back, you have 5 minutes once the chunks are loaded to find exactly where you died before everything despawns and you lose all your progress. Those 5 minutes can be stressful, not to mention dangerous, lest you die again on your way to collect your items. Of course, creative mode offers a stress-free experience, but nothing scratches the Minecraft itch quite like starting up a brand new survival server with your friends.
Do you guys know about these blocks? These the copper grates?
Dude,
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I don't know a lot of things
Dude,
about
they're
this game.
gangsta. I want to learn how you make these.
Probably out of copper.
That's a good start,
Oh,
Carter.
okay.
Well, you get the rest from your recipe book that's now built into the game, so you don't have to look anything up.
What? What was that?
That was enthusiasm. You can learn to curb it.
Good one. I like that one.
I didn't think anyone would. I didn't even like that one.
When I got around to planning this year's realm, I wanted to try something new. Something that would adjust the vanilla gameplay in a subtle way that better accommodates different playstyles and skill levels. In my eyes, keep inventory doesn't cut it. This toggleable game rule makes it so you don't drop your items or experience on death. You just teleport back to your spawn point as if nothing ever happened. This is a simple fix to Minecraft's unforgiving death mechanics, but I think it gives rise to its own issues. In the early game, you might be incentivized to kill yourself to restore your health or hunger and save on resources. Or, at the end of a long expedition in the late game, you might be inclined to jump off a cliff just to teleport back home instantly. There's no reason not to. Keep inventory completely removes any sense of risk from the game, which is a bit of an overcorrection, in my opinion. If you're not already playing in peaceful or creative mode, then you probably want at least some mechanic in place that dissuades you from dying, otherwise this wouldn't be a survival game. Hence, command blocks. There's a lot more you can do with mods and plugins, but I wanted to try and come up with a solution utilizing only in-game commands.
Is that what you're setting up, Carter?
No. This is just where I ended up.
Okay, good. Good. Just making sure.
Hey Carter, is this a build spot or is this just a temporary set my shit here spot?
Isn't that what Mason just asked?
I don't know. Was I there?
You were in the call.
I see.
Um,
Interesting.
This is just where I ended up. I'm gonna build a little green top, I think.
Nighttime.
So, to the drawing board. What's more punishing than keep inventory, but less than vanilla? Clearly you should lose something on death, just not everything. And that something should be recoverable without an unreasonable amount of effort. Let's say, as a general rule, less than the effort it took to get it in the first place. I briefly considered a system in which you would drop a random selection of items from your inventory on death, but ultimately decided the unpredictability would be confusing at best and frustrating at worst. Losing specific items that everyone has, like armor or equipment, could work, but those items tend to be more expensive and could always be stored in an ender chest before jumping into the void, leading to the same exploits as keep inventory. So, if not items, then why not lose health on death? It's a resource that everyone has and needs to some extent, but isn't necessarily precious as long as we also add a way to recover lost health. You could still play the game exactly the way you would normally with a reduced health pool. It'll be less comfortable, but this way dying won't lose you any meaningful progress. That comfort of having 10 full hearts becomes your incentive to stay alive, or pay the cost of healing after you respawn, which is completely optional and can be done at your own leisure.
Okay, I have some food. Oh, I should. Ooh.
I got half a heart and I can't sprint, but at least I found diamonds.
What?
That's crazy. I guess yeah. If you found diamonds, then you can die no problem.
How much do you want?
All of it?
All of it.
No, okay, I could do a little bit. I would do that for a little bit.
Ah!
Ooh. Yeah, I want all of it.
Putting more specific details aside for a bit, we can already predict some issues with this change. As players progress through the game, they will likely be able to absorb the cost of healing more easily, causing the stakes to erode away in the late game. I don't think a mechanic that disproportionately punishes newer players is much of an improvement, so let's think of another mechanic targeted more towards late game players. Let's say items are still off the table, and health is already spoken for. The other thing that comes to mind is experience. Again, it's a resource that everyone has, but it's especially important for late game players looking to craft the most overpowered gear. We can easily set up command blocks to remove a player's experience when they die, but recovering their lost XP won't be as simple as it was for health, since there's no maximum XP level. We can't just make an XP shop, because that would immediately devalue the resource. Instead, we need something that is somehow limited by the amount of XP the player had when they died. For that, we can try making it so the player drops their XP on death, sort of like vanilla. That way there's still a reason to return to the place you died, but only if you care about your lost XP levels. I think that has the potential to be an interesting mechanic, pulling inspiration from the Dark Souls series. Plus, this way the recovery compass isn't completely useless. With those basic ideas in mind, let's try to implement them using command blocks.
Is Officer Walrus 1 or 2 words in my name?
Both.
Oh, what's that mean? Is there a space?
There's no space.
Sorry, yeah. I apologize.
I hear Carter blowing his horn up there. I can hear that all the way down here.
The syntax has changed quite a bit since the last time I've done a project like this, so please excuse any inefficiencies. I'm sure there are other ways to do this same thing. I'm just trying to put something together that works. Feel free to follow along if you're interested. The commands are also in the description. First, we need to set up all the necessary scoreboards that the command blocks will use. I'll explain them as they come up later, but for now, just run the commands shown here in the text window. Now's a good time to set any game rules you want to change too. I turned off sleeping and phantoms for this world. You might prefer to turn off mob griefing or fire spread. The only necessary one here is keepInventory, which we'll set to true. After enabling keepInventory, we can get to work on the command block function that executes every time a player dies. In a repeating command block that's always active, we can constantly check for dead players using our deathCount scoreboard and the executeIf command. Whenever that test passes, the following conditional chain command blocks will fire off, each targeting the dead player using execute as at a scores is dead equals 1. First, we'll store the dead player's experience level in a scoreboard using the store command. That scalar on the end can be used to change how much XP is recoverable later. Leave it at 1 for 100%, 0.5 for half, and so on. Ideally, I would have liked to store the player's exact number of experience points, but I couldn't think of a way to easily do that since the XP scoreboard built into Minecraft doesn't seem to reset on death. You could probably make it work with some scoreboard operations, but I just went with the built-in XpLevel property instead. It's less precise, but it simplifies things a bit. The next two command blocks manually remove the player's XP by first setting their XP level to 0, then their remaining points to 0. We need to do this ourselves since keepInventory would normally keep experience. Next, we'll summon a player head at the dead player's position using the summon command. Using the custom data tag shown here, we can store information about the player's experience level as a hidden value on the head itself using this command. I'm sure you could just spawn an XP orb instead, but I think the player head idea is fun. That way, after you pick it up, you can return it to some mechanism near spawn to redeem your lost XP. There's a small exploit here. Since only your level is tracked, you could technically lose a lot of XP on purpose, collect your head, then wait to redeem it until you get some XP back from other sources, effectively dodging the exponential XP requirements for each level. I've got some other countermeasures in place that I'll go over later, but you can also nerf that strategy with the scalar I mentioned earlier. Even something as generous as 90% recoverable XP levels should do a pretty good job at preventing abuse. Moving on, we can change the player head's skin by editing its NBT data again. And that covers the XP part of the death function. To decrease the health, I couldn't find a way to just subtract 2 per death, so I set up a chain of unconditional command blocks that execute based on the dead player's current max HP. First, we use a dummy scoreboard to check their health. The way I have things written, I scale it down here. Since scoreboards can't store decimals, and Minecraft always rounds down, this effectively subtracts 2 health or 1 heart per death from 20 all the way down to 10. Then the following commands just set the player's max health to match their scoreboard. I cut it off at a minimum of 6 hearts, but you can balance it however you like, both how much health you lose per death and the minimum health a player can have. Finally, we reset the player's death scoreboard so these commands stop running. That's all there is to the death function. Not too bad, and I bet it could be even shorter with some optimizations. Just make sure the entire string is built somewhere in your spawn chunks so they're always loaded. If needed, you can adjust the spawnChunkRadius using the gamerule command.
Wait, okay, are we going this way? Do we want to do the perimeter or we want to go for the heart of it first?
Was that not the heart of it that we just went through?
Yeah, I don't think so. There's like a big warden portal, I think they call it.
Oh.
Wait, where'd you go? I can't see you. There you go.
Uh-oh. I set it off.
Oh shit. Why did it get so dark? Are you... Wait, what's going on?
I set it off. I set it off. I set it off. I don't know what to do. Oh my god.
That definitely sounds like him. Oh my god.
Can it break blocks?
I don't know. That thing is scary looking though.
Do you see it? Or, I'm like under.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, can you mine amethyst with a stone pickaxe, or do you need better?
I don't know. It's not very rare. You should just try it. Oh my god. It hit me.
Yeah, I can take one after you.
What?
Okay, I want to leave.
Whoa!
I want to leave. I want to leave. I want to leave. I want to leave. I want to leave.
I don't know how that thing attacks. That's scary. Next, let's code the 2 exchange altars that allow players to recover their lost health and XP. Health is pretty simple. Set your price. I think 1 diamond per heart recovered is fair. The repeating command block checks for a dropped item, whatever you set it to, nearby. With such a short range, I'd put this command block directly under the slab players should drop their items onto, but you can just specify coordinates instead. If it passes, it tags the nearest player with a dummy scoreboard HP altar, which allows them to be targeted by all the following commands in the chain. The rest of the function executes based on their current max health, which is already stored in a scoreboard from their most recent death. If they already have 10 hearts, this command block sends a message and sets off the following conditional commands that play sounds and summon phantoms. You don't have to do all that, but since I disabled phantoms on my server, I thought this would be a good way to make sure phantom membranes are still technically obtainable. Then, in a string of unconditional command blocks, we can check for every possible max HP value and add 2 to it, similar to the way we subtracted health earlier. At the end, I put some text, particles, and sound effects that go off if health is successfully restored. And I ran the command to update the player's max health scoreboard in case they want to recover health multiple times in a row. Finally, we remove the HP altar tag from the player and consume the diamond as payment. The XP altar is pretty similar, but a bit more complicated. First, we'll check for a player head on the ground and tag the player with XP altar so they can be targeted by the following commands. Next, we need to read the NBT tag on the head that contains the number of recoverable XP levels the player lost on death. We'll store that number in a new dummy scoreboard for the player called XP head. The next command compares the player's XP lost score to their XP head score. If they don't match, the function fails and summons phantoms, like how the HP altar works when you try to use it on full health. This effectively creates a system that works sort of like Dark Souls or Hollow Knight, where only the head from your most recent death will work. If you die multiple times in a row, the first head will expire and your XP will be permanently lost. A brief note here, we're just going to ignore the off chance that the scoreboards match by coincidence. Technically, if you die at level 30, you can use any head tagged with level 30, but if someone puts in that much effort to game the system, I say let them have it. You could probably close the loophole with a separate tag based on game time, but I wouldn't bother. In the case that the head is valid, we'll run some text, sound effects, and particles, then place a redstone block that activates a separate chain of command blocks. Make sure to set the first repeating command block in this chain to needs redstone. Then, while active, it will add 1 level as long as the player has recoverable XP levels. The next conditional command removes 1 from the player's recoverable XP levels each time the last command runs successfully. And the final one cancels the loop when they run out of recoverable XP by removing the redstone block. I couldn't think of a way to just add their XP lost score straight to their XP level, so this loop will have to do. I'm sure it's possible, but an upside to this approach is that you get to see your experience count up, which is kind of fun. Back on the main function, be sure to remove the XP alter tag and consume the player head like we did before. And that's all there is to it. It's not a perfect system, but I like both of these mechanics running at the same time because they scale differently for early and late game players. Those starting out might not care if they lose their experience, but would still want to avoid losing health. On the other hand, those who have plenty of resources to offset the cost of recovering lost health would probably care a lot more about losing their experience, which they can't store away in a chest. If you want to try this out for yourself, all the commands are in the description, so you can make changes and balance it however you like. I hope you found this little experiment as interesting as I did. The background footage I used for this video comes from the first day of the server I started with my friends using the system, and it's been going strong for several months now. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.